Hello again. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, taking you into the garage area and talking to the folks that make the race cars go around the racetrack. We are so glad that you have joined us. I'm Steve Post, pit road reporter for the Motor Racing Network, joined by 25-time and championship-winning crew chief Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm great. North Wilkesboro, I thought outperformed what I expected.
Yep.
I think there's still work to be done, and I think everybody understands that. Option tire ended up being the primary tire. And we'll learn from that. So Interesting there. Thought it was really racy. Thought the racetrack got pretty wide. Had guys in the bottom. The groove moved within a car width to the top. For a repave, I thought they did a really good job there. Mother Nature made her presence as well.
That was insane on Saturday afternoon. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know that I've ever sat through. I mean, we sat through Chicago. It was different. Chicago was just 2 days of constant rain. This was an hour and a half or 2 hours of just open the floodgates.
The rumors I heard was 4 inches of rain in 2 hours.
Yeah, I believe it. It was unreal.
And what I heard is one of those pit box covers covered up one of the drains.
Oh, so it was a pit. I knew a drain got clogged.
From what I understand, one of the pit box covers, how they transport them, was covered up one of the drains.
Yeah, the Stewart Haas. I talked to Joe Custer, the Stewart Haas trucks. The cars were fine. The water got to the bottom of the car. One of the trucks, I talked to Bono Mannion, the 7 truck, it got to the bottom of the 7, and they were able to get it. The Stewart Haas cars were sitting there. They were the open cars. They were down in the bottom corner of that garage. And Joe Custer said they got about a 1/4 inch of water in them. But that could have been, we saw the Hendrick crew buttoning those cars up. It could have just been the water going in while they were doing that. It wasn't anything major. He was worried, and it's fascinating. You never think about it. He was worried about the hubs of the transporters sitting underwater.
Yeah.
For a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, this sport, man, there is always something in this sport. And Joe was worried about that, and it just puts perspective on something else.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, everybody came back to a phenomenal truck race. I thought the open race was pretty exciting. I thought the All-Star race was decent. I thought that we saw some strategy pieces work out there. I thought Christopher Bell on the primary tires ran forward. Was one guy that I thought I was waiting to see what he'd do when he got reds on. He got close, but couldn't clear Joey. And Joey and Paul called the best race, qualified on the pole, called the best race, and won the race.
Yep, absolutely. What is? I mean, I understand it's an all-star race, and yes, I understand it's $1 million. $1 million is $1 million. The way I look at Joey and Paul, it seems like they go to Darlington, they have a good run. Joey messes that up with a speeding penalty on pit road. It appears to me, though, that they might have a little momentum. The All-Star win can't hurt that at all.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. It's not a points win, but it's a win. A win's a win. Yeah. There's trophies awarded, and those are confidence builders for everybody. And they've been ticking upward. They just haven't executed perfectly. And to your point, speeding penalty at Darlington and the last run down pit road buried him there from a 5th to 8th place run.
You don't want that to happen, but you know what the problem was. That's a fixable problem.
Yes.
Joey, don't do it again.
Yeah. Finding speed, that's elusive, but working on execution. If I've got speed and don't execute, I can work on that. I can fix that. If we're executing perfectly and we're running 15th, finding speed is elusive. That's a challenge that all of us are at. But that's it's just one of those things. We'll see where it works forward. This summer swing is going to be interesting.
Summer stretch is going to be fascinating.
A lot of unique racetracks.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you learn, or whether you just build momentum.
Yeah. Fun stuff, that's for sure. Second week in a row, little extracurricular activity at the end of the day. This time it was Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
That's Rocky Stenhouse Jr.
Rocky Stenhouse Jr. My gosh, exactly. Todd, one of the things I thought about 2 weeks ago at Darlington, you had Chris Buescher and Tyler Reddick going for the win.
Yes.
Okay, they were going for the win. To me, what is glaringly different about what happened at North Wilkesboro is you've got two guys, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch, just in complete honesty, that are not having fun right now.
No.
Teams are both struggling.
And lap one.
Or two.
I don't know what.
It's just, to me, Kyle's quote, and I'll paraphrase to clean up a little bit, we're just as bad as you are. At the end of it, when they were being parted away, he had some other more colorful language to describe it. These are two teams and drivers that are not having fun, and it didn't take long for the boiling point to be reached by these two guys.
Yeah, unfortunate.
It really is.
Definitely unfortunate. But for the fandom, it's
crazy.
It creates controversy. It creates water cooler talk.
It certainly does, and it's created a lot of memes as well for all those kids that are doing the social media stuff. That picture over Kyle's shoulder of Ricky standing there by the car, that thing has already been used. It's just wild stuff, but it's just, to me, it's as much a product of frustration as anything else. I mean,
it is.
Because they're just... and we're gonna get a little bit involved with Richard Childress Racing, Justin Alexander. We're gonna talk about them rebuilding the 3-car. Not that they were involved in any of those shenanigans, but RCR has got some work to do.
Made a change there, a few changes.
Yes,
Justin came back to crew chiefing this. Keith Rodden got put into a more global position, where he can have impact on all the program. Yeah. And Justin and Austin Dillon have success in their past, so. This is a pairing that's interesting to see how this is coming back together and where the fruits of this are.
See what happens with it. So we're going to talk to Justin Alexander. Before we get out of here, do want to mention Scott Zipadelli. We seem to be talking about him a lot because his driver and him, Corey Heim, this is a combination that 2 weeks ago we said, man, this is a really good combination. Mm-hmm. This is a combination that is a really good combination, and they are getting better too. They are just continuing to evolve better and better. Scott's 21st win, Corey's 3rd win of the season, picked up the win up there at that. And the story of the truck race was Butterbean.
How about that?
Man.
And came back from a speeding penalty.
Yeah.
And drove back up to a fourth place finish.
I've covered him. Well, MRN, we've done the Martinsville late model stock race, and then I've done some other pay-per-view races with Cars Tour and other late model stock races. And I don't know, I've probably known him for 5 years and just could not be a better kid. And then to see him get the opportunity and then to embrace it. And then I don't care what anyone says. I love radio. We have this thing in radio called nat sound, the natural sound, the sound of the cars. That's why, like, when Mike or Dave out in the turn and the cars go rolling by, it's like it gives you the chills. It's nat sound. I love when Butterbean's doing the interview and he's fanning the flames of the crowd. And we get the crowd rolling. That's good nat sound for radio. I love it. Butterbean understands the game. So fun stuff for sure, and really, really cool. We're going to talk to Justin Alexander, but before that, just want to encourage you, as we do each and every time, subscribe to this channel. If you like what we're doing on this, share it on your social media platforms. Like it here. There's algorithms that the more people that like, the more people that share, the more people that like NASCAR will see this, that the more people that will like and share. It's this rhythm that we need to get into, and we do appreciate that. So if you like what we're doing here, subscribe, like, and share, and we do appreciate that. And when we come back, we'll talk to Justin Alexander from up at Richard Childress Racing. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, and let's go to it. Let's go to the hotline. Joining us from up at Richard Childress Racing, he's the crew chief on those number 3 Chevy Camaros for Austin Dillon. Justin Alexander joins us. Hello, Justin. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys?
Good, really good. Always enjoy the opportunity to chat with you, and I kind of want to jump in like you did, jumping in midstream. You're back. You've got 6 races now under your belt. After Richmond, you jumped in with Austin. Just what's the challenge? What's that been like getting back up to speed on the pit box?
Yeah, it's been good. It's kind of like riding a bike. You've been doing it for the last 10 years, so it's it's familiar. It is a little bit of a change. I haven't done it about a year and a half, but no, it's been good. We're just trying to get back up to speed with the team, with Austin, kind of getting back into a rhythm. We've yet to, I'd say, get where we want to be at this point yet, but we're still working on things. We're trying to, things haven't really, the cars, they've changed a little bit, but not for the most part, they haven't. Little things here and there, but really just trying to jump back in and get back in a good rhythm with the team so that we can, start building some momentum and work our way back up in the points.
So a couple things there I want to hit on, but How has the crew chief role evolved? You've been a year and a half. I've been 3. So it seems like the engineering side, the analytics side, we hear the word analytics all the time. How has that role changed as you return?
Since I left, I did the first year of this race car, and like I said, the aero packages have changed, the tires have changed a little bit, and little nuances here and there, but for the most part, it's still the same as when it was back in 22, the season, my last season here. So, or maybe 21. No, 22.
22.
Anyway, no, it really has. It's about the same as it's always been. You still, you're trying to lead a race team and really manage the processes and things. And some of our tools have certainly changed, and have gotten and been developed over the last year and a half. Like you mentioned, analytic tools and from simulation and just a whole host of things that we've gotten better at from on the GM side of things and even RCR side. So there's a few things we do differently, but for the most part, the overarching job and the way you go about it is not changed.
So in the other piece you talked about, you came into a situation where you aren't performing at the expectation at the level you expect to. What's the path that you build to the road back? What's the goals? How do you progress this forward, especially with the limited practice that we have?
Yeah, that's tough. If we knew that answer, we could just it'd be easy. But no, I think we gotta start with little baby steps, if you will, and not really try to go out and start hammering down, top 15s, top 10s, and try to get, to where we're running, little steps at a time. Right. And build the confidence back up in with Austin and with the team and myself and everyone. Right. And you kind of got this, you get into this, especially where we're at points, we've gotten into this lull and you feel down and nothing seems like it works, and you have bad days and it seems like they're every day, and you really have to just bring some positivity to that and bring some momentum and positivity to help gain a little momentum. So it takes a little bits at a time. I think we have struggled even since I've returned. We have had a few struggles in some races, and it hasn't been great. We did have a decent finish at Texas, but I felt like we actually had a good weekend this past weekend at North Wilkesboro in the All-Star race. Even though we didn't make the race, we felt like really good about our race car. We tried a few things, and he was very happy with it and the way it drove. So I feel like moving forward on short track stuff will be a benefit going forward. So really we're trying a few different things, and I'm trying to figure out what it is that, Austin needs to be more comfortable, to be more aggressive. And we've got to qualify better, and where we're at in points, you end up qualifying, in the top 5 every week. And that never is good either. So we've just got to slowly build our way back up. And, that's the goal. And that's what we're kind of moving towards.
On the other side of the shop, you have Randall Burnett over there with Kyle Busch, and while you are in different positions, I think the struggle is real over there as well. How compatible are your programs? How compatible are your drivers? Are there things you can lean on each other? Are there things where you kind of have to go your own separate route with the 8 car?
No, they certainly are compatible in a sense. Kyle and Austin do require slightly different things that they want out of a race car, but we understand what those things are, and they're not massively different. So we do lean on each other from time to time when need be, and we have followed the 8 a little bit and gone down kind of their path, and we work off each other, and we've helped each other back and forth. And yeah, so Austin and Kyle get along really, really well. They communicate a lot. They understand each other and what each other needs, their needs are. So that has been good. And like I said, for them, they've had speed. They've They have run well. They've been a little inconsistent, I would say. Maybe for whatever reason. But yeah, we're in his RCR, we're trying to build we're trying to build our processes and our and everything in house to kind of to push both these cars, up to the top and where they need to be running.
So you mentioned it this past weekend, but had we not had rain come in with 2 cars to go, you were sitting on the pole for the open race, and that going back to points kind of buried you back. A tough road to slug forward, but just seeing speed that was cool to see there. The Texas run that you had has to give you a little bit of optimism coming to Charlotte, doesn't it?
Yeah, we felt good. Texas was a little crazy because like most of these races, track position is so important, and we always say that, and it's always the line that gets used, but it truly is. We really ran 25th all day. We really never got out of the 20s, I don't think, the entire day at Texas. And had the race ended, we would have gone home and thought we were a 25th place car. But we did some late race strategy. We ran long and we caught a caution, and we ended up restarting, I think, 12th after all that was said, and had multiple restarts in the last in those late all those cautions at the end of the race, and we drove our way up to 8th, and he could solidly drive in the top 10 with the speed of a top 10 race car, no problem. So it's amazing how much clean air will do for these race cars, and even just the confidence of getting thrown in the top 10. We see it a lot with other cars too that are running the back, and they come in, they take 2 tires, or they stay out or whatever, and you end up seeing them run up front, or they stay in the top 5 or top 10. And it's just a testament to how much qualifying and clean air means to these race cars, especially at intermediate tracks. And Texas was especially tough too with the grooves there, and the lack of where you could run at that place. So Charlotte's been good to us. They ran really good last year at Charlotte. We 22, we had a chance to win the race. We were coming to the white. We wrecked off of turn 4 with 1 to go. And we just didn't quite get cleared, or we could have won that race. But Charlotte's always been a good track for us and for Austin, and we're definitely looking forward to it. Charlotte's being just a wide racetrack, and a lot of different lanes. We look forward to getting out there this weekend.
Justin, I want to dig a little deeper into something you talked about there, and we hear this all the time: clean air, running at the front of the pack versus running at the back of the pack. The next race I crew chief will be the first one. I don't understand a lot of things as far as how this goes, but how dramatic is the difference, and how do you budget for it? Because you don't know. You come down pit road, and you don't know if the guys are going to bust off a 8.5 second pit stop, or you end up in the back of the pack. How do you account for that, and how dramatic is that?
It's pretty big, and it the biggest thing is that the balance of the race car will change quite dramatically from being back in the teens and 20s to being in the top 10. Typically the car is much freer out front, cleaner air, so it's you don't know. You're just trying your best to get your way up there to the front, and whether it's on a pit stop or on a pit strategy call or whatever, anything you can do to get up front is going to be is going to make your day a little better and more successful. And usually when you get up there, you can typically stay up there for the most part. So we're like I said, we're working on moving our way up to the points. We're working on trying to qualify better, and so that we can start the races better, and do all those things to keep ourselves in that top tier, to where we can run and manage the races a bit better.
Yeah. And you talked about the Coke 600. You and Austin have won this race in the past. Kind of strategically put yourself there, as you talked about in 22. I think you needed about a foot, maybe 2 feet to clear, and you were going to be great there. 600 miles, 4 100 laps segments. What should we look for out of that?
Well, it's obviously it's a long race. It's a day race that transitions into the night. So you're going to see certainly some changes. You're going to see some comers and goers. Sometimes guys that start the race, aren't the best at the end of the night, and vice versa. But yeah, the thing for us is there are 3 stages to this race, or 4, I guess. And, there's more benefit there's more chances to get stage points. And for us, we need those points. It offers us more chances to try to get some points. So we're gonna do our best there to work on that. And as far as the rest of it goes, it's just one of those races. It's a grueling race. You really just have to. The way I look at it is 4 100-lap races, right? And you kind of just work your way and manage the races based on that. And if you get the drivers have to be patient. They can't you don't want to tear your stuff up. You got to be around to finish the race and keep your equipment clean and all that stuff. And we got to make a ton of pit stops, and we're going to be making a ton of changes to the car. So getting good feedback and iterating on what the driver needs and giving him what he needs and having good restarts and all that stuff. But the way I look at it is 4 100-lap races and try to go at it at that approach.
And with them being 100-lap segments, that's well beyond the fuel window. If you split it in half at 50, guys that are kind of trying to find that track position, are there plays there going long, maybe 2 tires later? Do you see some of that happening?
Yeah, I think we've seen some of that kind of in the last few intermediate tracks where you see some guys. It seems short pitting has been a little,
aggressive.
more and more. Yeah, we've been creeping down on the short pitting as far as all that's done. And it used to be 1 or 2 guys would short pit. Now, the first guy that comes to pit road usually drags the whole field down, whether that's 5 or 15 laps before halfway on a stint. So and then we also saw at Darlington that wasn't necessarily the fastest way to get to the end of the stage. We ended up splitting. I think it was Darlington. Splitting the stage up more in equal segments, and we made out for it. So certainly there's depending upon where you're at, and if you're trying to stay on the lead lap, you can definitely place to run long and try to catch caution and keep yourself on that lead lap and up there in the get track position like we did at Texas. So it will depend upon how we're running and where you're running and things of that nature. But we got to be aggressive and we there's certainly some benefits to short pitting too if it could be the first one on pit road. But we've seen lately that the field is usually on the next lap or 2.
Yeah, boy, once it happens, it triggers the land rush, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Justin, it is always a pleasure to catch up with you. We wish you well up there in Welcome and continued success as you guys try to rebuild this thing up. And just thanks for joining us here today on Crew Call.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.
There we go. Justin Alexander joining us from up at Richard Childress Racing. Stay with us. More Crew Call in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. Todd Gordon and Steve Post and Justin Alexander, really, really good guy. I enjoy chatting with him here on Crew Call. I enjoy chatting with him in the garage area, and once in a while we even see him at some of our favorite restaurants, which was, I think, at Talladega. We saw him at one of our favorite spots. Really good guy, great guy, and it's going to be interesting to see how this team does.
You understand why Austin keeps coming back to Justin, right?
Yeah, you do, yeah.
He got off, didn't want to be on the full-time grind, but he enticed him back to it. So it'd be interesting to see how these two work together and how he pulls it forward. I love his calm demeanor. He's got a very meticulous way of, okay, we've just got to work our way forward. Engineer that was at dinner when we saw him in Talladega, guy I got to work with Jimmy last year, enticed him back to come into the deal as well, Joel Keller. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team progresses forward. And the Coke 600 is a place that they've had success, as we talked about. They've won it in the past with a fuel strategy that worked out, put him on full fuel save and made it. And as he talked about, they were about
real close
2 feet from clearing and making the move to win the 622. So Be fun to see how they progress forward through the summer.
Yep. Hopefully get a little momentum going. That is for sure. We've got a situation, Todd, a challenging situation, and we're not in the business of speculating, but nobody is in the business at Stewart-Haas Racing of answering questions. And so the drivers, reporters have asked drivers, and they don't even know. Mm-hmm. Todd, as a leader of a team, and your Cup career specifically, you were blessed with Penske Racing or Team Penske, so you had some stability. You kind of knew where it is. But I cannot imagine the challenge of managing people with the uncertainty right now that is over at Stewart-Haas Racing, especially your good people, because they're probably what are the challenges?
Yeah. I think the challenge is if they find opportunities and go elsewhere, it becomes a bigger challenge to fill those opportunities, those vacancies.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't with the uncertainty that comes in the run. Really, as you look at it, I think the biggest thing you do as a leader in these situations, I had to do this a couple times in the what was then the Busch Series, Nationwide Series, through those teams. But you got to focus on putting your resume forward. And your resume is go to the racetrack. Right. Let's go to the racetrack. Let's be successful. Let's show people what we're capable of. That's what's going to put us in a better position for next year. Rather than worrying about trying to do everything else, just focus on what we're doing going forward. We'll find places. If we're good, we'll find places. So
your resume is Darlington. Put 2 cars in the top 5.
Yes.
Your resume is that, and that's what you can do this week. That's what you can do next week. Go to Charlotte, put a couple of those teams in the top 5, and keep doing that. And there's a lot of it that's most of it's out of their control.
I'll give an example. It's when you looked at the Furniture Row team.
Yeah.
When we knew that they were kind of folding up. Those guys were all picked up very easily. Yeah. We went after Robbie, the underneath guy. Ended up being my car chief at Jimmy's, but we tried to hire him at Penske.
Yeah,
just working through that whole piece.
You see people like that are good. You
see hardworking people that are focused, even in those times. Those are the people that you want on your team because they're not sidetracked. They're not distracted. They show that in chaos they can be focused.
Yeah, we focus so much on the drivers in that situation, and rightly so. We understand it with the drivers. Where's Chase going to go? Where's Noah going to go? If it's going away, we don't even know if it's going away or not. But there's so many people down in the trenches. The other thing I always think about this too, and I used to think about it, is back when we used to have J-Ski silly season, where you'd sit in a meeting. I've been part of teams. You sit in a meeting, and 2 minutes later you go on J-Ski and you're reading about the meeting. The challenge is that the families, you have the crew guys, right, and mama's at home, and she's seeing the same thing everyone else is seeing, and it's just a challenge. It really is. And good work will obviously take care of itself ultimately, but that doesn't mean that the uncertainty is not uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is, especially when you've got mortgage payments and car payments, and kids going. You've got people relying on that income, but the best way to maintain that income is just put your head down, keep working on it, and show people what you're made of. I think most everybody at Stewart-Haas is going to find out if this goes away. We don't know that it will.
Again, we're sitting here. It's a weird situation.
Yeah.
We have uncertainty in our conversation. I can't imagine the uncertainty in the workplace. That's the challenge to me. That's the challenge. So we'll see what happens with it. Coke 600. I love my question to you. My question to Justin was going to be, and then as time went on, that was going to be my question to you. And then he answered it. He doubled back and answered it. 100 lap segments. All of the stages are the same length.
Yes.
That is good news. Bad news is do you get into a rhythm of it? How does that work out?
ten extra points. As you talked about.
And again, extra points, no doubt about it.
There's 10 extra points. There's an extra playoff point out there. Yeah. Because now we have three stage wins. We can get 3 playoff points there. We can get 5 for winning the race. There's 8 playoff points this weekend. Yeah. Normally there's only 7.
Yep.
And there's 10 more points available. So you look at it, I think there's kind of, as he talked about, you race this as a, it's 4 100 lap races. The challenge is that what happens with the short pits? If you look at it strategically, you'd say, I'm going to stop at 50 and I'm going to go to the stage end. I'm going to stop at 150, go to the stage end. But short pits used to be 3 or 4 laps. They're now 10, 11. Yeah. You're going to see somebody on pit road at 39. And that's They're going to have to run a fuel run after that. But that opens up the opportunity. And these are the things that I think, he talked about flipping the track position at Texas, getting themselves an opportunity.
Yeah.
If you're back there 25th, and if you're back there, you've got to look at this race differently. I can't do what those guys are doing because I'll go a lap down by the time I'm done. The air's worse when you get back there. You use up your tires harder on the front side because you're in dirty air. And that's. So you've got to look at how you strategize that race differently. And I think you'll see some guys, we saw Corey LaJoie do this. We saw a few other guys do this. I think you'll see guys that flip it on the other side. They go long, and they may even go long for a 4-tire stop. They may get out there to lap 65, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Maybe save some gas and try to get deep into the 60s and know that you've only got 30 laps to go. Well, if you end up a lap down, you take a waiver round. You've got 30 laps. You could set yourself up in the next one. I can get 30 laps where I'm in the fuel window to stop and go to the end of the stage. So there are things that can happen, not for the race winning contenders, but for the guys that need to make opportunity.
Create opportunity. We talk about this so many times, you and I do, and Justin alluded to it. They're talking about Texas. Manufacture a good finish.
Yes.
We talked about, I forget where it was, Drew did that somewhere along the way with Noah, where you're...
A couple times. At Dover.
Yeah, Dover. That's what it was. You're a 15th place car, you're a 20th place car, and you manufacture yourself.
I think he was one of the ones at Texas that did it. Actually, Dover, he may have run up there all day long, but they did. Drew Blickensturfer manufactured some track position. As Justin talked about, got themselves to 12th, drove up to 8th. Thought they were stuck in 25th all day long.
You get it, and you don't realize how good you might be.
And really, as he talked about, and he alluded to, from what I've talked to crew chiefs about, you have to tune your cars differently. If you're going to run 25th, you've got to be way freer than you are to run 5th. And it's first run's different than second. Second run's different than third. Like there's a 10% change from first to second. There's a 5% change second to third. It gets, but then when you get back to 25th, it's way different than 10th. So, understanding what you've got to do. I've seen crew chiefs that had bad pit stops that cycled themselves out of the top 5 to the back, come back to loosen their cars up,
come back in
so that they can race from the back forward. It is different back there.
It's fascinating stuff. It really, truly is. I love the 600. I love it because we're going to have a lot of everything.
Not only that, but you go from daylight into darkness, and this is the most temperature sensitive place
on the planet.
Yes, it is. So.
I don't know. We talk a lot about what the asphalt was at North Wilkesboro. I don't know what the asphalt's been at Charlotte. They've repaved it a couple times. Whether it's the way the place sits, the way I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter what asphalt it is. It has always been brutally sensitive.
It always seemed like me. This goes back to Gen 6 car, but if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we got to practice. Don't even think about what he says in 3 and 4, because there's nothing you can do to make 3 and 4 better. And once the sun sets and the sun comes off of that corner, it comes back. So
that's great.
It is. It's if you had a practice at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 1, you just about think about not practicing.
Yeah.
And 2, if you did practice, you'd only worry about what happened in 1 and 2.
Oh,
because it's
fun
just
stuff.
Yeah, crazy place.
It is crazy place. That is for sure. It's going to be the center of all NASCAR activities this weekend. We'll be there on Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time. The ARCA Menard Series. It's the General Tire 150 at 8 o'clock. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Performance Racing Network takes over. They have the Xfinity Series on Saturday and the Cup Series, the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday. It is great. The tradition, the celebration, the military salutes. Charlotte Motor Speedway really does a neat job. It is a fun weekend, and it's a home weekend for so many people as well.
And a home weekend where Cup doesn't come in until Saturday. They tech during the Xfinity, I think just before the Xfinity race, and they practice and qualify after the Xfinity race, a fully rubbered racetrack. As Justin talked about, having to go out early in Group A is going to be tough because the racetrack's going to have rubber on it.
There's that. There is that. So many challenges, that's for sure. We appreciate Justin Alexander joining us here on Crew Call. More important, though, than all of that, thank you for joining us here this time on Crew Call on the Motor Racing Network.